Hi guys, FrostFangs here, back again, of course, with another Paladins video. I'm on the Desert Omens PTS. The update should be live for everybody later this month. I'm going to be giving you an overview on the new champion, Omen. He is a damage character, Disciple of the Abyss is his tagline. So I'm going to go through his kit here pretty quickly, show him off in the target practice as well, and then I'll leave the rest of the stuff in this update for either the PTS or other, videos when it's live, because of course it is a bit scuffed, especially with the gameplay side of things from EU. Starting off here with his weapon, it's sort of similar to Atlas's gun in the sense that it starts out with a wider spread, but instead of charging it, you just hold down fire and it will slowly over time get a narrower spread and fire rate. Kind of hard to visualize, but you'll see what I mean when we jump into a game. It also applies Ominous Brand, which is sort of the stacking thing he has passively going on. Then moving on to his right click here, Deadly Domain, 12-second cooldown, sort of like a damage grok pool totem thing. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff in his kit that's similar to other characters, that's why I'm going to be comparing a lot of it. But if they have the stack on them, they're also slowed by 30%, otherwise it's just damage 60 every 0.2. Also, there's some more numbers there for the weapon if you're interested. Yeah, the passive and the stacks, they last for about 3 seconds and buff your Q and your right click. Then for his Q, probably my favorite part of his kit, 10-second cooldown. It's sort of just a more aggressive general script. You lift them up, deal some damage. When you throw them away, it doesn't do anything while you're holding them, but it's only for 1 second. Then you launch them, 400 damage, and it also sets your weapon to the more accurate, like a binary star mode for 2 seconds. Also deals bonus damage if they're marked with Ominous Brand, which really ties into the F, which also applies a stack just like your base weapon and your ultimate, I guess, technically as well. This can be cast while you're grabbing somebody, unlike generals who can't really do anything while you're grabbing somebody. He can actually slide around, and this ability is pretty much just a horizontal andro dash that leaves a damage trail. 10-second cooldown. It's the easiest way for me to explain it. And then finally here for his ultimate, it's sort of a more complicated vertical Genos ultimate. That's a scuffed explanation, but you channel it for 2 seconds. During that, you get CC immunity, damage reduction, and you lose a lot of movement speed. You leave a 30-unit thing on the ground. After 3 seconds, it just gets absolutely blasted with insane damage, 666 every 0.15 for 6 seconds, and it also applies a stack in case that just didn't absolutely nuke them. Overall, really like his kit for his talents. Pretty straightforward stuff here. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course, on everything down in the comments, but the first one you get is just a straight buff to his stack sort of system, 5 seconds instead of 3, and also a permanent reveal. Then for the second one, Umbral Lance, it's basically just Genos' binary star, leaving your weapon permanently in the sort of buffed fire mode that is pretty much Genos' binary star, instead of having to deal with like the shotgun side of it. It's really straightforward. I'm sure you get it. Just like the last one here, Binary Void gives your right click the damage pool things, 2 charges instead of just 1, and increases the cooldown by 3. Super straightforward talents. I kind of like it. There's been a few characters in the past where we have overly complicated ones, and I don't know if I prefer this or that sort of style, but yeah, this is really just direct stuff. Then for his cards, also really straightforward, so I'm going to zoom through these. You've got the standard stuff like ult charge, extra health, movement speed whenever you get into them. I'll show you some of my favorite ones here, like more, which decreases your ammo count by quite a bit, but gives you massive amounts of extra damage, but at max level leaves you with 2 ammo for 40%. Definitely one of the more unique ones. Moving on to the right click, these will play into the tank quite a bit, like a shield, cooldown reduction, ammo gen, and deploy range, which I don't know if it will see play because I don't feel like you necessarily need that. Then for ones that buff out the grip, the Q here, I think these will see quite a bit of play, at least the range and the heal. The heal here is pretty damn strong. The knockback, I'm not really sure. I'll have to test it out because on some maps, if you can really throw people with this 50%, I imagine it would see some sort of play on like TDMs and more casual stuff. But yeah, I don't know about the base damage because this max level is only like an extra 100. Doesn't really seem that worth it. I could be wrong. I really like the card art. I want to point that out here real quick. A lot of it is obviously sort of reworked Genos art, not just like filtered, but they've sort of remade a lot of the Genos art in like a darker theme. It looks sick. I really like it. Fits into his character super well. And then finally, we've got the ones buffing out the F, which are a tiny heal, but it takes really quickly whenever it deals damage to an enemy. Might be worth running, but I'm not really sure. Then a movement speed buff after you pop it, which is pretty good, 7% for a level on the card for 3 seconds. Not bad. Extra duration on the trail, which I don't think will really be worth, or then maybe level 1, I'm not sure. And then extra travel distance, which also, yeah, could be solid. Don't pay attention to the actual builds here and the levels and stuff. I just wanted to show you some of the cards I thought were more interesting, slightly stronger, more than usual for a new character release. A lot of his cards are really solid. There'll definitely be a few ones that don't see playing a little bit, less common, but a lot of these are really quite usable. So I'm in the shooting range here with Omen. No fancy inspect to show off. Sadly, I always like when they do that. It's obviously a ton of work and not many people even ever hit the button, but Omen has a pretty straightforward, just sort of standard one, and obviously he looks very similar to Genos here in first person. He does have a really annoying thing when you reload where the aim moves, which sort of stops you from being able to spam Death Hands and run like 2 ammo with that card because it moves, which is really annoying. Same thing I said with Earth. I'm not going to go on about it. I just wanted to point it out because it looks cool when you're actually just playing the character, but gameplay wise, when you're trying to run like a reload spam setup, it's a little bit more jank. But there's a reload. There's a look at the shotgun as well. Pretty much the same reload as Genos, at least very similar. Fire rate, as you can see in the shotgun mode, is pretty quick until if you hold it, it eventually sort of narrows into a beam, sort of single binary star shot. Seems like it automatically resets when you reload, so if I'm fully pinpointed, I just hold left click here the entire time, it will go back to a shotgun. The fire rate difference is pretty massive, but at a range here, you still don't deal like crazy damage even in the binary star mode until it's fully charged. You see I'm doing like 45, and then it finally goes up to like 200 when we're like fully stacked on it. It's a bit of a weird curve, so just to show you the weapon here, you have pretty rubbish range until you start to narrow down your shots. If I reload, you'll see here the first like shot or two has pretty crazy spread until it eventually narrows, especially if you're not holding it. Like if you're tapping it like I just did there, you're constantly going to get the full spread, and you're going to have a pretty rough time with the timing on it. So you do want to hold it and then narrow down the shots to be able to actually go through them. But up close, the damage of the shotgun is kind of crazy quick. If you see here against the Victor, we go through his health bar, not even headshotting, pretty freaking quick. And against the Ying, if I do land headshots, just to show you, it's like 3 shots. Show you the grip here again. You pull them up, throw them away, pretty straightforward. It is 1 second, but it feels a little bit snappier than that for some reason. And if we have stacks, we also get a little bit of tick damage, which I'll show off here in a second. The F is a very straightforward, just Andro dash in whatever direction you want, leaving the sort of damage tick thing. But with the stacks here on the Fernando, if I throw him away, you'll see he also gets a bit of a tick damage afterwards. It isn't anything crazy, but it might make a bit of a difference, especially if you're firing at them, because it gives you bonus damage on your weapon shots, unless I'm wrong. Like if I hit the Victor here, cue him and throw him over from 500, yeah, now we do 575. That's the difference. One thing you can do with this kit that I think is really interesting and quite unique is you can grab a, Fernando, dash over and throw him in the opposite direction and sort of switch. So if you're sitting near an edge, you could grab somebody and then throw them back by dashing under them. But it's a pretty niche environment for that to work. But for Kronos here, you can do it quite often, sort of, yeah, that rough combo. I kind of wish he had a talent that gave him 2 F charges. It would probably be too strong because then you'd have way too much movement, because it does go pretty far even without buffing it out. But 6-second cooldown, 7-second cooldown isn't that bad for max Kronos, and if you do hit somebody, you will actually get blocked. It's not like you go through them. So yeah, you just kind of bump them. Definitely isn't anything crazy though. It is solid area denial, especially if they're stacked, they have that slow on them. And combined with the rest of his kit, he has a surprising amount of just annoying the enemy team. Even though he's a damage, and a lot of that doesn't usually happen in their kits, usually just like output and burst, he has a lot of stuff where it's like moving around, slowing people, yeah, throwing them, dashing, stuff that surprisingly ends up working really well together and sort of synergizing with his kit. It does still feel a little bit weird, just like with General Script, where you first grab somebody and you can't do anything. I feel like I should be able to shoot him, but it is only 1 second and you can fire like directly afterwards. And technically you can grab an F just to give you sort of more dodge ability, and also it's going to be very unpredictable for them because you're going to grab and then you're going to dash and they're not going to be able to properly, get what's going on because your movement's unpredictable, their throwing position's unpredictable. It's a lot of messing up enemies, which, yeah, if you combo like his entire kit, it all works surprisingly well together. Finally, for his ultimate, which is, yeah, bugged at the moment, I think a bit on the PTS, you hit E and you can see an indicator. I don't know if you're meant to be able to do this in live, but right now you can. You have a pretty goddamn crazy range on it, to be honest. I thought you'd have to be really, really quite close, and then you hit E again, you cast it, you can still move a little bit, and then that goes in the sky, mark on the floor, and the damage is ridiculous. It is very similar to like a Dredge ult, General's ult type of thing. Throw it there, and you'll see how quick it removes the Fernando. The effects on it are also really, really pretty. It also matches General's, but it just removes people. It goes on for quite a minute, but 666 every 0.15 is crazy DPS. I think it's enough to go through Yag even in her queue, but I could be wrong with that. Again, just to show you here, it's going to remove the Fernando. It does take a little minute to set up, and it isn't the crazy, like, fastest thing ever, but with any sort of synergy with your team, you can, of course, throw people sort of into it, although I imagine that's going to be kind of tough. Just like those other ults, it does require some sort of setup, but you have a slow and the right click, which you kind of have to do before. You can sort of grab somebody, throw them, dash around a bit. It's just insane damage. He's a damage character after all, so having just a nuke ability is always fun. I really do like his kit, even though it is sort of morphs of stuff we've seen before. The way it comes together is really solid. I think if I throw it up here, it will go through the entire map. I do just want to check this real quick. Oh, it stops. I assumed it would go through the entire thing. Yeah, apparently not. So you actually need to, cast it on the right level. It will go through stuff, I think, but it will stop at whatever the lowest one is you've put it on. So on like some of the maps, that would be kind of rough. Also, one thing I want to point out real quick is that you can actually do the dash in the air. I said it was like a horizontal Andro dash, but you can do it while you're falling and off a legend stuff, which gives you pretty crazy momentum carry. Doesn't seem like you lose height at all either when you do it. You can see there with the trail, it seems to be like perfectly horizontal, so you do get quite a lot of movement if you're jumping off of like a ledge or something. Like if I go here and then pop the F, sort of see how much movement, carry you get with it, especially if you're buffing out, it's going to be pretty good. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Omen down in the comments. I really would love to hear him. In my opinion, he's pretty damn solid. I imagine he's leaning more towards the good than underpowered side of things, although I don't think I'd really call him overpowered. I don't think there's anything in his kit that stands out too crazy to me. But yeah, I'll see you guys all really, really soon. As always, stay frosty.